Jean, it is a pleasure to be with you once again. You've been a mentor and a teacher for so many years and decades. I think dream tending itself and the new book I'm writing on imagination comes essentially from your work and inspiration as I've gone on my life journey to pick up this and that. You know, what really is touching me about your work at the moment is this notion of coding, that the coding in each of us is not just personal. It's just not developmental. It's more than an egocentric code. It's a code that originates in another time, space, imaginal dimension. Can you just open that up just a little bit more for us?
Coding. Well, I think we come in coded, but we need different levels of consciousness to tap into the levels of coding, you see. Mm. I mean, I think it's a frightful shame that so much of early education requires a forgetting of one's coding so that one could learn the appropriate given educational demand of the day. If children and adults too have a education in what you're dream tending, what I've done in so much of my work, it is to not only remember, but be remembered by the ultimate code. And that's a different reality. It goes both ways. Mm-hmm. It isn't, oh, dear God, please show up for me, come on. And I think we bore God. No. Look, I'll do it with the Jewish accent, So look, I gave you a nice body. I gave you a brain. I gave you lots of trouble, sores. And from that, you shake it up. You've got a very good education. Well, and I'm half Sicilian, so that I don't know where that came from, growing up in show business. But the thing is, we do come in with an amplitude of possibilities, but we are never told that this is so. Lucky folks stumble upon it, or they find one particular series of words that wakes them up. The human heart can go to the lengths of God. Dark and cold we may be, but this is no winter now. The frozen misery of centuries cracks, breaks, begins to move. The thunder is the thunder of the flood, the flow, the upstart. The dog is being very responsive, and she's rolling on her back, and she's wondering what is going on. Thank God our time is now, when wrong comes up to meet us everywhere, never to leave us till we take the longest stride of soul folk ever took. Affairs are now soul-sized. The enterprise is exploration into God. Oh, what are you making for? It takes so many thousand years to wake. But will you wait? For pity's sake. And people hear that and they say, yeah, I'll wake. Yeah. So you almost have to put people into transformational rooms, realities that are maybe in rooms, but where the page of selfhood is turned and they begin to wake up to the immensity that they contain, and especially that has become so vibrant and necessary in these times, the time of evolve or perish. Yeah. I mean, how many dead planets are out there where people gave up? We are in our great moment in history of evolve or perish. We're in our time of grow or die, but in growth and evolution, there is such joy, such astonishment, such invitation to the higher dance, where my dog is so excited. She doesn't behave like this.
No,
she's a little boxer. You see, what is it, sweetie? Well,
yeah,
she's gotten very excited. She doesn't behave like this. We
Yeah.
must be saying something important.
Right. Well, there's
Yeah.
a quality of resonance.
Children and dogs, they really know the truth about things.
I'm wondering when, because you've had so much experience working with so many people
Yeah.
worldwide, so many different cultures. My goodness, you can't keep count. At this
I
point.
can't either. I try to put myself to sleep counting all the countries.
Yeah. In the different cultures, the different countries, when you experience that quality of awakening, because I'm sure help facilitate that for so many, when the awakening happens, what can you say something about what occurs when people find each other, where they experience that quality of coming into a different consciousness, and then they find each other? Something about, I heard once you were talking about communities of practice, like bringing people together.
Yes, yes.
Can you say more about that? That'd be great.
The communities of practice is where you together do your human homework and you keep each other energized and committed. It's really enormously important, because what you're doing on a micro level is manifesting the happening on the macro level, which is the great field of being. We don't just live in the universe lives in us. And when you have communities of practice, as you do with the dream tending, then the very basic cosmic field itself, it says, we've got live ones there. And the field begins to be amplified and begins to become the singular and, in fact, the only presence. And people are not only made present, they are presenced by the dynamic, evolutionary, living field. They become God's stuff incarnate in biodegradable space-time suits. And thus they learn things, because they uncover. They don't recover so much as they uncover the richness of the givens. And we forget that we come in with givens, you see. Yeah. Children are very innocent about it, and they think, well, this is the way it is all the time. But then there is the education for forgetfulness, You see, what you're doing with the dream tending, I do believe that you are reawakening earlier strata in the mind, body, spiritual systems, so that within the house of the adult, the child is quickened and becomes relative and co-creative. And so, who was it? I guess it must have been Whitman. It was Whitman, certainly. But also others I'm thinking about who said, eternity is in love with the productions of time. Eternity is in love with the productions of time. And it's as if eternity, or God, what even call it, says, hot dog, we got a live one there. Oh. And then the opportunities, the synchronicities, the impossible things from the older world, or the old mind, they wake up in you. And before you know it, you are in a state of deep relationship and co-creation with the universe that is yearning for the awakening awakement. Now, you asked me earlier, you said, what is it with waking up? With waking up, it's like the old blinders go away, and suddenly you're at an ocean and you see the wave come in, and you know that you are in every drop of water and in every wave. A child goes by and says something, whatever, and you realize there's profound truth there. Now, the issue afterwards is that often after that state, that the great uniqueness of oneness with everything, is that you say, oh, bad habits. What am I going to do? I just keep going back to my bad memories over and over again. I keep blaming please, what do I do? And that's when the great purification comes in, because you really have to do that purify. And then when the purification, suddenly you are soaring with ideas and synchronicities. Things happen, the right people are there. The universe really in you is making a universe of the great poetry of being. You seem to be a verb. You seem to be a whole poem in yourself. You have become co-creative with the creator and with the creator. And there then come voices and visions and breakthroughs and astonishments and joys, and even going into deeper of the contemplative life, where you are not just, you are in the temple of the contemplative, where you find not only unique ways of exploration, of prayer, of whatever it is, but you become the before the previously hidden house of unseen generosities.
Oh.
And suddenly now you are seeing and you are seeing.
Oh.
I think it was Rumi who said something like that about the unseen generosities. The problem is then the sustaining of this, and how to create or co-create opportunities, structures, surprises, comedies, plays, music, poetry that allows you to go of everyday stuff into the extraordinary meta physics of the reality that is pouring its creation all the time. And you begin to appreciate. And that's when the great unity says, hot dog, we've got a live one there. And life changes and becomes extraordinary. Or let's say the advancement of the ordinary.
The advancement of the ordinary. Yeah, and there's something about a sense of calling when it's in relation to a different order of things that really is inspiring. And I think you're quite right. For me and for others that I've been privileged to work with, that's when the creative life comes forward. Not from my mind and ego, but from a source much richer and more complex.
Yes. Mm-hmm. However, it's not all joy and delights, because there is a sequence that occurs called the dark night of the soul, where all the darknesses rise up. Mm. And what had been beautiful words seem to be just sort of silly statements, where the things that when you were living in a state of high creativity and delight, it becomes just childish foolishness. And what I think that state is, it is the catharsis. It's not fun time. It's the catharsis of the final remnants of the old ways of being. And then, of course, when that happens, you enter into the delights of unity, the delights of knowing that you are the latest product, not of the metabolism of the galaxy, but of the great unity your whole life. And you become the standard bearer for the great oneness, and you acquire a charism of presencing. And so people who come within your presencing are there's the bark. I must be saying the right thing. But are in a state of enlightening and discovery and delight.
And delight. Yeah.
And delight. And barking. She's actually celebrating that somebody that she knows. All right, come here, little girl. Come. You maybe need a treat. Do you need a treat? What do you need? Oh, she wants a treat. Hold on, I gotta give her a treat. It's the lure of becoming. Dried meat. Okay. Here we are.
So as Jean's offering this wise dog. Now, I've had the privilege of being in her home, and she is always, as long as I've known her, she has been so engaged with and companions dogs. And you would think that these dogs have a sixth sense, which they do anyway. But I think living in the consciousness that gets generated when she's at work, and she works so hard, so much of the time, either writing or offering lectures, and she's forever, teaching in this capacity online now, or traveling worldwide to offer her wisdom and her sense of consciousness, really. One of the real pioneers of opening consciousness for so many. Jean, I was just recollecting on all the times I've been with you and visited you at your home and with your dogs, and how incredibly conscious they become and related and empathetic you all
Yes.
become with one
And they
another.
begin to sing. In fact, I'm going to say, come on, come on, come on. Hey, come on. All right. See if I can get her up, because she is such a brilliant dog. The
Yeah.
problem is she has a unique perspective I wish I had. She stares at empty spaces. There's nothing there. She stares. I can't see anything. And she wags her little tail, and she's watching it as if she's watching some great play, and there's nothing there. So I figured, oh, well, it's dog eyesight, Now she has a new form. She likes to shake hands all the time, shake paws. Now she goes up to the emptiness and all her paw to the emptiness, and something is happening because he's shaking up and down. Maybe that's a metaphor for who we are.
Yeah.
We are shaking hands with what we think is emptiness, but it's actually pungent, potent, hand-shaking reality.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. Jean, I feel like I've been not only listening with you for this meeting, but actually a guest in your home. So I really do.
Yes, you are, with the dogs and cats. And
Oh, it's fantastic. Thank you so much on behalf of all of us, particularly the extended dream tending community and so many more. Thank you for all the work that you've offered here and now and all through the years. It's just been great. Really do appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you, Margaret.
Okay.